If you're new to us, please know that the bulletin has a scripture that we're going to consider today. We're going to be paying attention to Psalm 139. In fact, I will ask Michelle to come and help me reading Psalm 139. We are going to be reading the whole thing. HH2 for the mic. There you go. Now, Michelle, you didn't know this, but you're going to read from verse 1 all the way to verse 18.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, and if you will come here and read it in the best way that you can, and we'll go from there.
Psalm 139 from the New Revised Standard Version. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know me when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, O Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in, behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is so high that I cannot attain it. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light around me become night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you.
Go ahead, continue.
For it was you who formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. If I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, that I may know very well. Bless you. My frame was not hidden from you. When I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth, your eyes beheld my unformed substance. In your book were written all the days that were formed for me, when none of them as yet existed. How weighty to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. I try to count them. They are more than the sand. I come to the end. I am still with you.
Oh, that you will kill the wicked, O God. And that the bloodthirsty would depart from me. Those who speak to you maliciously lift themselves up against you from evil. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord? And do I not loathe those who rise up against you? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my thoughts. See if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. This is a word inspired by God for us, the people of God. Thanks be to God. It was on purpose to be dramatic. Yes, of course, because do you see there are some fancy words that will give you a couple words in Scrabble, a couple points if you play that game. Omniscience, omnipresence, omnipotence. And the structure and the breakdown of these verses is very helpful to us because it explains how God is ever present, God is all powerful, and God is all knowledgeable. Those are what those words mean. Not in that order, but that's what they mean. And Psalm 139 has been used to understand something that goes beyond our words, our understanding. How is God all knowledgeable? How is God always present? And how is God all powerful? And yet, these are the favorite parts of Psalm 139, but nobody pays attention to the reality of verse 19 to verse 24. We don't know what to do with them. So today, I would like to give you perhaps an answer of what to do with your anger using 139. The psalm begins with this. you have searched me and you know me. Who is the person that knows you the most in your family? Yeah? And even them, sometimes you get caught by surprise by something that they do. I will say that the person that knows me the most is my mother. She knows me very well. I remember when Mel and I started dating and got married, in front of me, my mother grabbed Mel by the arm and said, I'm going to tell you the secret about Mario. I am going to tell you the secret about Mario. If you wake up in the morning and you give him a kiss and you tell him that there is food waiting for him and that you softly get him out from the bed, he will do whatever you want. But unlike me, if you're like his father, that turns the light on, turns the AC off, just take the blanket off and start kicking the bed. Get up, you lazy bum. He's not going to do anything. He will have that part of his brain saying, oh, you want to fight? You want to show strength? I will show you strength. So my mother told that Mel. And it's true. I was laughing because I know it is true. How easy am I to be tricked? Yes. If you ask nicely, you will get a lot more. If you want to play a tug of war, I see it as a $5 bet, and I will do my best to beat you. Yes, my mother knows me best. Verse 3 tells you, you are acquainted with all of my ways. Verse 6, such knowledge is too wonderful for me, says David. Who is David? If you're going to talk about the Psalms, you have to talk about David. Who is David at the beginning? David was the youngest son of Jesse, a nobody. And I say a nobody because in times of the people of Israel, in the times of Old Testament, the one that had all the privilege was the older sibling. The younger one were nothing but slaves. So David was a shepherd taking care of the sheep. That means that David was not even living in the house. David was living in the woods, in the jungle, in the desert, in the mountains, wherever the sheep will go to eat. One day, the prophet Samuel listens to a voice of God and says, Israel needs a new king. Go find me. Go to Jesse. Take your anointing oil and go search for it. Now, Samuel, thinking that God will continue to do the same legacy of Saul. Saul was the first king of Israel. Samuel sees all the siblings of David, starting with the oldest. Oh, surely this is the new king of Israel. And God says what? Do not judge a book by its cover. I pay attention to the heart. And so Saul goes all the way down until he finds David. And actually his father tells David, go wash off because you are a mess. You know, I saw a video recently on social media. This is in Kentucky. There was a basketball game. Kentucky is known for basketball a lot. And Kentucky is also known because of the mines. And they see a child, well-dressed, clean, with a jersey. And next to the child, they see a father. And you see how tired the father was. He has one of those bushy beards, and his face is all blackened from all the cold that he's been hauling all day. But he's at the game with his son. When the coach from Kentucky saw that, the report says that they gave them season tickets. Because how good that even though the father was all messed up and tired, the father took the time to take the son to the basketball game. And he went in a uniform, and as dear as he was, he only was paying attention to the son. It's a wonderful story. That makes me think about David. David, this is the prophet. Go wash off. And so Samuel anoints David now as king. But Samuel is surprised because the next thing that David does, he continues to be a servant. Jesse tells him, go take this lunchbox to your brothers who are at the front of the battle. So David is obedient. So the first thing that David does after anointed is become a servant and be obedient. So he goes into the battle, And when he gets there, do you remember what he sees? Goliath running his mouth. And David gets angry by it. What are you guys going to do? Are you going to continue to let him run his mouth like that? No way. Do something. And they were all afraid, for Goliath was huge. And so David says, I'm going to do it. And that's where we meet Saul, or David meets Saul. Saul says, well, if you're going to fight Goliath, take my armor. And David says, I don't need your fancy armor. I got my own. And you take that from Ephesians 6. The armor of our faith is not a physical armor, but it's a spiritual armor. And so David goes into battle. And he picks up not one stone, but several of them. Now, in school, we are encouraged to believe that it's not that David thought that he needed more rocks to defeat Goliath. It's that Goliath had additional siblings. And so he picked one rock for each of the brothers and siblings of Goliath. I don't know if you knew that, but that's a sermon for another day, right? So he goes there. David is a very violent man. It is known that only people who are capable of great violence are truly peaceful people because they choose peace. Because if you are not capable of great violence, it's not that you're peaceful, you're just harmless. People of great peace are capable of great violence because they choose to be peaceful, even though they don't have to. And so David, after knocking Goliath down, what does David do? Takes Goliath's sword. Woof. I often think about that when I'm running with my children. This Thursday, Nico begins 6U practice, and we were running with the kids. And mind you, I will never let my children beat me. If I can help it, I will outrun them forever. You laugh, but it's true. I am so competitive that my kids, when they beat me, they will know that they earn it. I am not that mindful, and my kindness doesn't go that way. No, and it's not like I'm going to let you win for a little bit. No, I will make you eat dust all the way to the end. When you beat me, you know you have earned it. That's me. That's your pastor. That's the reality of me. I am very competitive. After that, what happens to David? Saul begins to see him as a threat. Now David is playing the harp, and Saul wants to kill David because now David is being praised. Psalm 139 is written not at the beginning of David's life, not at the end like Psalm 23. This is the moment where David is capable of great violence. However, there are three things that David does and makes them public to the people. The first thing, David is king. David has all power and all control. David has and can have anything and anyone. But what does David do? At this moment, the first thing that David says is, God knows everything, not me. God knows everything. The second thing is that God is ever present, not me. God is. The third thing that David says in the Psalm is, God is all powerful, not me. God is. You know what it takes to be in control, to have all power, to have all money, and still believe that doesn't belong to you? Can you imagine a person with enough authority, but to say that that authority is not his, but God, and makes it so public that people sing these psalms? David is telling people that I might be serving as a king, but I am not it. Which makes you think about how politicians are known as what? Public. Say it again. Do we see them serving the communities? No, we do not. And this is not where I got into politics. No. But the reality is that politicians are supposed to be called public servants, and none of them are serving nobody. It seems that we are serving them. They're the ones that get the privilege. David, on the other hand, is doing the opposite. In here, David says, I'm king, but I don't know it all. And I cannot always be present, and I am not powerful. However, there is something about me that you ought to know. And that begins on verse 19. Here's my reality. And I can identify with this. Some of you know that Mel and I are in the process of adoption. We have completed all the paperwork, and now we're waiting to be having that the home study. And they're going to come and analyze us and judge us and coordinate that the child is going to be safe. And that's all good and perfect and beautiful. However, this journey began for me not long ago. Back at the end of May, I saw the report in Orange County. There was a report of someone that was arrested. The news was a little bit like this. A woman had a young daughter, a 3-year-old, and they had rented a room from someone else, and they were living in a house. What she didn't know is that this guy was one of those sexual predators that have not been busted yet. It so happened that since the moment that girl moved, he started planning with a friend about how they were going to groom her and how they were going to make her watch things and let her see things. And when I was reading this, I have what you can describe as perfect anger. I wanted to take a very sharp, small scissors and cut them up. A 3-year-old, and to do those atrocious things, you're evil. You're truly evil. Somebody must kill you. That's your pastor. That's me. All honesty. I was so angry looking at that. And I came home and says, can you believe this, Mel? This is what's happening. And she says, what can we do? This is happening everywhere. In America, in South America, in Europe. It's happening everywhere. Well, you know what? I feel like I want to adopt. I've been having that feeling too. Because the reality is that I cannot save everyone, but I can be the family of someone and be part of the answer. Because I had to do something with that anger, and that is what David is doing here right now. The Psalms were public. David, while being king, says, I don't know it all. I cannot be everywhere, and I am not all-powerful, but God is. But I'm going to tell you who the real king is right now. The king that you have right now wants to kill the wicked. I'm bloodthirsty. Do I not hate those who hate you, Lord? And do I not loathe those who rise against you? This is David, the reality of David. David is capable of great violence, but chooses peace. Why? I'm glad you asked. If you go to 1 Samuel chapter 24, I'm going to read you when David had the opportunity to kill Saul. Beginning of verse 1, Samuel 1, page 268 if you want to read it from the Bibles on the tables. When Saul returned from following the Philistines, the enemies of Israel, he was told David is in the wilderness. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of Israel and went to look for David and his men in the direction of the rocks of the wild goats. He came to the sheepfolds beside the road where there was a cave, and Saul went in to relieve himself, meaning going to the bathroom. Now David and his men were sitting in the innermost parts of the cave. Then the men of David said to him, "Here is the day of which the Lord said to you, I will give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it seems good to you." Then David went and stealthily cut off a corner of Saul's cloth. Afterwards, David was stricken to the heart, heartbroken, basically, because he had cut off a corner of Saul's cloth. If you continue reading, you will see that David not only had one opportunity to kill Saul, his enemy, not just the adversary, but his enemy who was trying to kill him. David had more than a handful of opportunities to kill Saul and chose not to. In fact, this is what David did. So David, verse 7, scolded his men severely and did not permit them to attack Saul. Then Saul got up and left the cave and went on his way. David is capable of great violence. However, David has a change of heart, and he chooses to use his energy for something good. That is what you're supposed to do with your anger. If you are frustrated about how divided we are as a nation, good, you should. But use that anger not to detract into your corner, but to do something that will bring us together. Because the sinful part, it is not experiencing anger. It's reacting to it. I've been thinking a lot lately about this. And did you know that danger and anger are just one letter apart? If you're my friend on social media, you probably have seen this video. I was taking a couple swings for getting your attention. But the reality is that anger leads to danger. If you do not do something with your anger, you will be led to danger. The experience of anger is only natural. It tells you that something is wrong. It tells you that you must do something. So pay attention. When you are angry, do something. Don't react to the anger, but act because of that anger. We all experience anger. It's a natural feeling for human beings. But a godly person, a good husband, a good wife, a good son, a good daughter, take those feelings and transform them in something healthy. Just like David did. Pay attention to the end of the Psalm 139. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my thoughts. See if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me into the way everlasting. A good husband, a good wife, a good parent is able to feel those experiences. And I get it, it's hard because I was raised to perform. I was told that I needed to produce, perform, work. You're tired? Shut up. Nobody cares. Work harder. That's how I was brought up. You work, work, work. And when you're tired, you work again because the only value that you have is to provide. And that's a sinful way to live because that's not what God wants. You know who feels like that also? Moms. Moms feel like that. When the only thing that you feel is to give and 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 to give. And when it's enough, it's like a take and take and take and take and take. Our value is not in performing, in accepting our limits and to be honest with one another. Hey, honey, I'm pretty tired. I need to go to Target. Sure. Hey, I'm going to go take a walk. That's cool. Go. Hey, I'm going to sit outside by myself. I get it. Why? Because our value as human beings is not in performing. It's in accepting how is it that we are feeling and to be vocal about it and to express that to people around us. so that as we move from expressing our feelings, the people around us can fully help us and assist us in what we're trying to achieve, which is centeredness, purpose, and to dwell in the kindness of God. September is a busy month for all sorts of reasons. The minute that thing hits the end of Labor Day, it seems that someone just cranks up the heat in Florida. And it's getting to us. So David is giving us a pretty good understanding of what is it that we need to do. First thing is that God knows you, knows what you're going through. And God will be there always. There is no place, there is no dark corner where you can go hide that God will not find you. And that's not a threat. Don't take it as a threat. It's that you are always within reach. Remember that, you know why baby cries? Because the baby knows that someone listens. The baby will go quiet when he understands that nobody will come. People of God, if you must cry, cry, trusting that God will always listen and be there. You are never too far to be found. And the God that we praise, the God that will bless us, is a God that is all powerful. A God understands your brokenness and the worst of it and doesn't reject you, but says, let me repurpose that energy. Let me repurpose that anger. Let me repurpose that frustration. Let me repurpose that brokenness, and let me give you a new life. People of God, David was not afraid of showing his true self to God, and God blessed him for it. So be honest with yourself. Be honest with those around you. Be honest with God. And watch what God does in the world through you. God doesn't require perfection, but participation for you and for your family. To God be the glory. Amen.